Welcome to the Fascia-Informed Therapist, the essential podcast for occupational therapy professionals looking to deepen their understanding of fascia's pivotal role in therapy and health. I'm your host, Amy Mayer, an experienced occupational therapist, practice owner, and dedicated educator. Here we'll dive into the fascinating world of fascia, exploring its significance in the human body and its critical influence on occupational therapy practice. Each episode will bring you cutting-edge insights, expert interviews, and practical strategies to help you confidently integrate the science of fascia into your therapeutic approach. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or just starting out, our goal is to equip you with high-quality, evidence-based, and fascia-informed continuing education opportunities that will enhance your skills and benefit your clients. So join us as we unravel the complexities of fascia and transform the way you practice occupational therapy. All health and wellness practitioners are welcome. Let's learn, grow, and evolve together. Hi, this is Amy, and this is another edition of the Fascia-Informed Therapist. And today we're going to talk about the heart because it is February 1st that I'm recording this, and February is famously known for Valentine's Day, at least here in the United States, which, is a holiday that a lot of people love it and a lot of people don't love it so much. It's become a very commercialized holiday. And I believe some of the history was based on the martyrdom of Saint Valentine's, who got in big trouble because he was marrying people. And at the time there was some rule made that young men couldn't get married. I have absolutely no idea why, and I don't really want to spend my time digging too far into it, but some ruler said young men can't get married, probably because he needed them in his army or something. But Saint Valentine decided that he was going to marry them secretly so that they could be in love, and was basically killed for that. So that's a not so happy story, but the outcome was the celebration of love. And when we think about love, we often think about the heart. So that's interesting, and we could hypothesize more about that and connect that with the fascial system via the interoception, which wasn't really where I intended to go today. But when we think about the sensation of love and what we feel there, it's often a sense of something happening in the area of the chest where the heart is located, whether it's a gentle squeezing sensation or a sensation of warmth. And I would suggest right now, if you want to stop, pause for a second and think about somebody that you love, care about, and it doesn't have to be a human person, it can be a pet as well. And when you think about good memories and how much you care for this person or animal, what do you feel in your body? And when we're feeling that via stretch sensations, and it's in the fascial system. I really think that as we learn more about the fascial system and it catches on, it gets out there, we're going to be doing a whole lot more with the treatment of the fascial system when it comes to emotions and how we sense them, how we feel them, how we process them. And like I've talked about in other podcasts, it's already happening in the world of counseling type therapy. They're already doing somatic work. They don't generally in most states have the license to put their hands on people, but there's a lot that they can do to walk people through different ways to feel those sensations, to stretch into their bodies. So, and it's so in the realm of occupational therapy because we have that amazing, wonderful mix between the psychosocial aspect of client care and the physical aspect of client care. Anyway, that is not where I intended to go today, but what I wanted to talk about was the connections of the heart and how connected the heart is to all these structures around it, and in particular, the respiratory diaphragm. Now, everything is connected in the body via the fascia. And when you're thinking about the heart, every move we make is felt in every organ, every tissue, every cell. So when we think about exercising and we think about pumping our muscles and how much that helps the heart, that is still true, still absolutely true, but also how the fascia is pulling on everything as well helps the blood flow. And a few episodes ago, I did a podcast about blood pressure, which if you're interested at all in what's going on in the cardiovascular system, that would be a good one to listen to. But also the pulling and the compression, and we know 40%-ish of muscular effort is actually transmitted through fascial planes. So it's just always so, the more I read, I'm just continually amazed and enthralled at how interconnected the body is. So anyway, I just put together a short newsletter for the public-facing newsletter on the connections of the diaphragm and the heart, and I remember going to the session with John Sharkey, a couple years ago now, and he was showing us pictures of dissections and how connected the heart is with the diaphragm and how difficult it is to know exactly where to cut to do the dissections. And it was amazing. And I really hope someday I get the opportunity to go do something like that and see that with my own eyes, as opposed to the pictures I see in presentations and in books as well. Anyway, so 2 studies came up as I was kind of thinking and looking around, and one study is a 2022 study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, and it discusses how the diaphragm plays a key role in modulating cardiovascular hemodynamics. And maybe there's some of you out there who aren't sure what that means, but that's just a fancy word for how the blood flows through the blood vessels. And so when our heart has to pump, but it's really pretty small relative to the job it has to do. And so it relies on the muscles to move, to pump things as well. But also we're sedentary a lot. So what other mechanism do we have in our body to help make that pumping action happen? And well, that's the diaphragm, because even if we're sitting for long periods of time to work or for leisure, then we still have to breathe. Now, many of us, when we do sit too much, we bring the breath up and we start using those secondary muscles, the accessory muscles of breathing, to do the work of breathing. The little muscles on top of the rib cage that lift up, and then we don't even get that diaphragmatic movement to help support the compression of the heart and the blood vessels to keep things moving. So one of the most important things you can do to help your heart along is to learn how to relearn, if necessary, how to breathe with your diaphragm. And some people still believe, and I see this quite frequently in my practice, that people think that you breathe with your diaphragm only if you're going to sing or only if you're going to do deep breathing meditations. They don't understand that it's something that should be moving with every single breath that you take. So I teach it a lot, and I want to direct your attention to I have 3 YouTube channels. It's really too much. A lot of the experts out there are just saying, pick a lane, but famously OTs aren't good at picking lanes. We love to do everything. So I'm directing you to one of the YouTube channels, and it's called Fascia-Informed Fitness. And I created this channel with my good friend, Cheryl, who is about the same age as me, a little bit older. But she is a multi-Ironman. And even though she's a little bit older than me, and she was diagnosed with MS in the past year and a half-ish, she is actually going to do a half marathon here coming up this summer that she's training for now. She's freaking amazing, and I absolutely adore her. She's incredible on the inside and the outside. So we teamed up to create this YouTube channel to help. Our primary target was women who were in our age range, because we were kind of something happened where we were both being bombarded in our inbox with these young women in their push-up bras and their cute yoga outfits, looking adorable, but telling us how to age well. And yes, I mean, you can go to school and you can learn all that and absolutely be extremely helpful to a lot of people. But until you've lived in a body that's this age, it's a little hard to, and maybe especially just because I know the things I know, and Cheryl knows the things she knows. It was just this meeting of the minds and the perfect storm for us to go, let's just do it ourselves. So we did, and we decided to come up with a little bit different way of organizing our channel. And it still feels like it's a lot, but we have different playlists, and one is called Evaluate and Learn About Your Body. And we take people through some things to think about before you really dive into a lot of fitness. And I've seen so many people in my practice who, especially this time of year, where they decide they're just going to dive right in and start doing some big fitness thing, and then they get injured, or they fatigue out, or they're frustrated because they can't do it. I want people to know there's some things that you should think about before you jump into a big exercise program. And if we loop this back to the heart, making sure that you're doing something from the perspective of your heart is not just about doing cardio. It's also about keeping your fascia healthy. And most people absolutely don't think about that. So anyway, we have the first thing we want people to look at is the Evaluate and Learn About Your Body. And in that playlist, we have of course our introduction, and then we take people through some self-assessment. And then the one I wanted to talk about today was diaphragmatic breathing and how it is foundational to fitness. And so Cheryl and I walk you through how to check yourself. Are you a diaphragmatic breather, first of all? And then how to retrain yourself. And then I talk about some other reasons that it's important in your body to be a diaphragmatic breather. So that's really why I wanted you to draw your attention to this channel today. So it's a really great video that is, I'm not even sure exactly how long it is. It's not super, super long. So then we have, in our selection of playlists, we have another kind of next level up. It's called Easing Into Your Body. And this is for the people who really need to start from the basics, that are really just trying to get back into some sort of movement or trying to feel better in their body. And it's called Easing Into Your Body. So you know when you do anything in that playlist that it's going to be pretty gentle. And then the next is Sustain the Gains. And this is kind of where I operate most of the time. And it's about, okay, once your body's doing better, you've got good posture, you've got better mobility, and you just want to really maintain that. You don't want to go Iron Man. You just want to maintain that muscle mass and maintain your mobility, your agility. And then the next one is see what your body can do. And that's the playlist you go to if you really want to challenge yourself. And that's a lot of Cheryl taking you through some of the more challenging things that she does. But you might be surprised at some of the stuff that she does. It's not crazy out there stuff that you might see in, I don't know, some gyms or other YouTube channels. But it's stuff that's like full body, functional stuff. And she's not just, I mean, I should not use the word just. I mean, she is an Ironman, but she also was a strength and conditioning coach for a lot of her life. And when I talk to her and hear some stories about that, it's amazing how what a forward-thinking, functional approach she had to training kids. I need to have her on again just to talk about. Well, I need to have her on for the first time. We talk a lot about getting her on here, but anyway. And then we also have a Fascia Forward yoga and stretching playlist that I just record some of the better classes I teach live and put those on there. And then another playlist called Fun and Games, where we talk about how can you prepare your body for things like pickleball and other things like that. So anyway, you might want to check out the YouTube channel. It's slowly gaining some subscribers. So we're up to 88, it looks like. So anyway, back to the idea of the connection between the heart and the fascia. There was actually a study in, let's see, what was it in? Study by Berdoni and Morelli in the Journal of Multidisciplinary Healthcare. This was back in 2015. And they suggest, let me tell you what the name of the study that they put in was: the fascial system and exercise intolerance in patients with chronic heart failure, hypotheses of osteopathic treatment. And what they're suggesting is when you use a low load, long duration stretch into the myofascial complex that restores optimal length of the fascia around all the body's diaphragms, you're going to have better movement of the diaphragms and consequently better cardiovascular function. So this was 10 years ago if the study was published in 2015, they were probably doing this in 2013. So people, and Berdoni and Morelli. So I'm guessing, I did not look and see what country they're from, but there's some really forward-thinking people out there in terms of how the variable of fascia is playing into health and function. And that's really the point, one of the many points I wanted to make today. So they don't suggest any particular approach to fascia, treating the fascia, like the Barnes method or the Steckel method or the myofascial induction method. They just say a low load, long duration stretch into the myofascial complex. And that is exactly the technique that most, regardless of what part of the world the technique was developed and how long ago, the low load, long duration stretch is really where it's at and where I really think the science is pointing us, and what a lot of the leaders in fascia research would also say as well. So what else can you do? One, if you're not going to come and get actually a human person like myself or Caitlin to work on you, then learning how to do self-treatment would be another really good opportunity, because when we teach self-treatment, we teach how to use the same principles that we use when we work on a person to work on themselves using the small, soft balls. And it works incredibly well. Another option is to change how you stretch. To get into a yoga class where they do longer, gentler holds. To just stretch on your own at home, but stretch with longer, gentler holds. And if you're not sure which stretches to do, then come and ask a professional and let us work with you to figure out what your needs are. And then there's also a method called fascia stretch therapy. And last week, last Tuesday, I was interviewed on a podcast, a young man who has a business out in the Baltimore area, I believe, who does fascia stretch therapy. So it's not hands-on manual therapy like we do. Rather, they're actually holding on to perhaps one of your limbs and moving it in different directions at the just right low load, long duration stretch in order to get into that fascial tissue rather than just the muscular tissue. So that's another option that is out there. And I don't know that we have a fascial stretch therapy trained, because it is a training. They have books out there available too. Chris and Ann Fredericks, I believe, is the authors of the books and the developers of the technique. And they are fairly well known in the world of fascia. So anyway, that's also another option. So the young man's name is Ian, and it was a really fun interview that he did with me. Found us on Instagram and liked the pose that Caitlin makes. So reached out to us. And so I will have him on this podcast coming up. Once he has it posted, I think it's not going to post until March or early April. I will share that in probably the newsletter. So if you're not on the newsletter, make sure you go to Fascia-Informed.com and sign up for that. And if you are fascinated by this information and you want to understand it better, the first thing to do is better understand the basics, to better understand the science. And the science course that we have, and it's available right now, it is a very practical look. There's so much out there on the fascial anatomy, but this is the practical look that I think we need to know, the basics we need to know as occupational therapy practitioners, or maybe you're a physical therapy or speech, or maybe you're a massage therapist. It's a practical, and I'm all about practicalities, and I get frustrated when people talk above me with the science, so I always try to make it very digestible for people. So start with that, and then you'll better be able to look at all these different studies where fascia is becoming the variable in health and function. So I hope you found that interesting. I, again, so appreciate everyone, and just how this information about fascia is catching on, and the attention to the podcast. So again, Fascia-Informed.com, get signed up for the newsletter, or just keep listening, and feedback is always welcome as well. So thank you so much, and everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in to the Fascia-Informed Therapist. It's been a pleasure sharing insights and strategies to help you integrate fascia science into your practice. I'm Amy Mayer, and I hope today's episode has inspired you to explore further and take your therapeutic skills to the next level. Remember, we're committed to creating and providing top-notch, evidence-based, fascia-informed continuing education that empowers you as an occupational therapy practitioner. Stay connected with us for more enriching content, and don't forget to check out our online courses to deepen your expertise. Until next time, keep expanding your knowledge, refining your skills, and confidently applying the science of fascia to your practice. Here's to advancing together in health and wellness.